Welcome back, everyone. What's unfolding right now at Melbourne Park has caught the tennis world completely off guard, and nowhere is the reaction stronger than in the United States. The Australian Open draw has been released, the brackets are locked in, and already the 2026 tournament has produced a first-round matchup that many are calling the most volatile, high-risk clash of the opening week. If anyone assumed the early rounds would ease players into the event, that illusion is gone. The message dominating tennis headlines today is unmistakable. American tennis is stunned. The reason is simple. One of the United States' most explosive talents, Alycia Parks, has drawn what insiders are describing as a nightmare scenario. This is not a comfortable opener. She is not facing an inexperienced qualifier or a crowd-pleasing wild card. Instead, she is stepping onto the court against one of the fastest rising players in the sport, a newly crowned top 50 competitor, the pride of the Philippines, and one of the most dangerous products to emerge from the Rafa Nadal Academy in recent years, Alexandra Eala. This is not merely a match on the schedule. It is a collision between two completely different tennis realities. On one side stands Alycia Parks, one of the most powerful shot makers the women's game has ever produced, a player capable of overwhelming opponents with sheer pace. Her serve has matched Venus Williams in the record books, and when she finds her rhythm, she can blow even elite players off the court. On the opposite side is Alexandra Eala, a left-handed tactician, still only 20 years old, who has spent the last years storming through the tour, reshaping expectations for Southeast Asian tennis, and arriving in Melbourne with the kind of momentum that fuels deep Grand Slam runs. What makes this moment jarring is not only the pairing, but the timing. This showdown is happening in the first round. One of these two players will be eliminated immediately. That reality has sent American media outlets scrambling as they review Eala's recent performances, including her dismantling of established names in Auckland and Kooyong, and begin to acknowledge that Alycia Parks is walking into genuine danger. For years, fans watched Eala battle through qualifying rounds, endure narrow defeats, and absorb hard lessons on the tour. The Australian Open always seemed just out of reach. But 2026 marks a turning point. She is no longer arriving as an outsider, hoping to survive a round or two. She comes in as a legitimate contender, ranked 49th in the world, carrying a recent win over an Olympic silver medalist, and fully prepared to dissect the American power game with precision and patience. In this extended analysis, we're going far beyond surface-level statistics. We're examining the psychological dynamics, the technical evolution, and the narrative weight surrounding this encounter. Why is the United States so uneasy about this draw? What exactly has changed in Eala's game over the past 6 months? And why does this specific stylistic clash, the left-handed counterpuncher versus the American power hitter, define the opening days of this year's Australian Open? This tournament is about to shed its laid-back reputation very quickly. What lies ahead is serious, unforgiving tennis. This is a full breakdown of Eala versus Parks, the match that has captured global attention. To understand the shockwaves, we need to step back and examine who these two athletes are at this exact moment in January 2026. In tennis, timing shapes everything. A matchup that looks ordinary on paper half a year ago can become a headline attraction based purely on momentum and form. The paths of Alexandra Eala and Alycia Parks could not be more different, yet here in Melbourne, they collide head-on. Let's begin with the story driving the buzz, the ascent of Alexandra Eala. Followers of this channel know that 2025 marked her arrival on the big stage. But the opening weeks of 2026 have established something more powerful: authority. What she has accomplished recently explains precisely why American analysts are uneasy about this matchup. Eala didn't merely train during the off-season. She transformed. In the lead-up to Melbourne, she competed at the ASB Classic in Auckland, a tournament typically used to ease into the season. For Eala, it became a declaration. Reaching the semi-finals of a WTA 250 on hard courts is impressive on its own, but the manner of her victories told a deeper story. She systematically dismantled seasoned tour veterans, including Magda Linette, a player known for endurance, experience, and Grand Slam success. Eala's straight sets when was not about survival. It was about control. It signaled a fusion of her renowned defensive skills with a newly assertive offensive mindset. She then moved on to the Kooyong Classic. Some critics may dismiss it as an exhibition, but that argument falls apart when you look at the opponent. Donna Vekic, an Olympic silver medalist and former Wimbledon semifinalist, is among the cleanest ball strikers in the sport. Eala defeated her convincingly, 6-3, 6-4. That performance was not luck. It was surgical. She exposed movement gaps, absorbed pace, and neutralized power with intelligence and consistency. This is the version of Alexandra Eala that Alycia Parks must now face. This is not the teenager grinding through qualifiers years ago. This is a top 50 professional who has already proven she can beat elite opposition. Years of refinement at the Rafa Nadal Academy have turned her into a player who doesn't just retrieve balls, but constructs points methodically. Her left-handed forehand now carries heavier spin, pushing opponents deep behind the baseline. More importantly, her serve, once considered a liability, has evolved into a strategic tool. Precision has replaced raw speed, using wide angles on the ad court to open space and dictate patterns. Now we shift focus to the other side of the net. Alycia Parks. The reason American fans are stunned is because they understand both her potential and her fragility. Parks possesses a Ferrari engine, capable of extraordinary speed, but the handling can falter. When she is locked in, she looks unstoppable. A 129 miles per hour serve at the U.S. Open placed her alongside Venus Williams in history. She has captured a WTA title indoors in Lyon, defeating Caroline Garcia on French soil, a feat that speaks to her fearlessness. But Parks is also a player of extremes. Her game thrives on risk. She swings freely, aiming to finish points quickly with massive serves and thunderous ground strokes. When everything clicks, she resembles a top 10 force. When it doesn't, errors accumulate rapidly. That volatility is why this draw alarms American supporters. Parks has encountered the most uncomfortable opponent possible for her style. The tactical dynamics explain why. Parks feeds on chaos. She wants abbreviated points, immediate pressure, and control of the center of the court. Extended rallies work against her instincts. Eala represents the opposite philosophy. As a left-hander, she disrupts rhythm naturally. The geometry of her heavy topspin forehand sends high, kicking balls into Parks' backhand, forcing uncomfortable contact above shoulder height. That kind of ball prevents flat hitting and often produces short replies, which Eala can attack. Movement amplifies this issue. Eala's court coverage has improved dramatically. She slides on hard courts, defends from extreme positions, and consistently forces opponents to hit one extra shot. Against Parks, that extra shot is often decisive. Impatience creeps in, timing breaks down, and errors follow. Eala's game plan is clear. Neutralize the serve, extend exchanges, pressure the backhand, and wait for openings. The mental dimension cannot be ignored. This is a grand slam, and the pressure on Parks is immense. She is expected to perform, to protect ranking points, and to reassert herself among the elite. An early exit would be costly. Facing a younger, fearless opponent who offers no free points creates tension. Against consistency, players feel compelled to aim closer to the lines, which increases risk. Eala's pressure is different. She carries national expectations, with the entire Philippines following her every match. Yet history shows she embraces big moments. From junior Grand Slams to regional championships, she has demonstrated remarkable composure. Her on-court demeanor reflects discipline and clarity, hallmarks of her training environment. Conditions at Melbourne Park add another layer. Day matches produce faster balls and higher bounces, benefiting both Parks' serve and Eala's topspin. Night sessions slow things down, favoring Eala's endurance and consistency. Either scenario introduces variables that could swing momentum dramatically. Beyond tactics, the narrative is compelling. This marks Eala's first direct entry into the Australian Open main draw based purely on ranking. After years of grinding, this feels like a moment earned. The draw did not offer her safety, but it offered visibility. A win over Parks would resonate across the tour. For Parks, a victory would signal growth, discipline, and adaptability. This is why the reaction in the United States has been so strong. Analysts recognize that this is not a comfortable matchup. It is a stylistic trap. Eala represents a problem that power alone may not solve. Recent technical tweaks reinforce that concern. Eala's serve toss has become more consistent, improving disguise and placement. Against a returner like Parks, unpredictability matters more than raw speed. On return, Eala is fearless. She may stand deeper to handle Parks' pace, but the priority will be depth and neutrality, preventing Parks from dictating immediately. Statistically, this match may hinge on errors and breakpoint execution. Parks will produce more winners, likely by a wide margin. But if those winners are offset by unforced errors, the balance tilts. Eala thrives in that equation. The crowd factor cannot be overlooked. Melbourne's Filipino community is large and vocal. Support for Eala will be intense. Parks has shown sensitivity to crowd dynamics before. Momentum can shift quickly if frustration sets in. This is why the draw feels seismic. The United States sees risk. The Philippines sees opportunity. And the tennis world sees a defining clash. Ultimately, it comes down to who blinks first. Can Parks unleash sustained power and dominate service games? Absolutely. There's a scenario where she overwhelms Eala with relentless pace. But there's also the scenario suggested by form and matchups, where Eala absorbs, redirects, frustrates, and slowly dismantles that power. Regardless of the outcome, this match represents a broader shift. Eala's presence inside the top 50 and her status as a legitimate threat to established stars speaks volumes about her development. This first-round contest is more than an opening match. It is a measuring stick for where the sport is heading. For Filipino fans, this is a long-awaited moment. For American supporters, it is an anxious watch. For neutral fans, it is tennis at its finest. Precision against power, experience against momentum, tradition against emergence. We will follow every point, every momentum swing, and every critical moment from Melbourne. Stay locked in, because this Australian Open has already delivered its first major statement. The stakes are immense, the players are prepared, and the world is watching. Thank you for being here, and we will be back with a full breakdown once the dust settles.